Thank you for joining us today. We're here with Ida Flaherty. Now, Ida, where were you born?
I was born in Iraq, Baghdad, Iraq.
You were. How old were you when you came here?
9.5.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you like it better here or when you lived in Iraq?
Oh my gosh, it's so different. You know, I was a lot younger. The only place that I know, I call this home. I've been here for 40-something years. So the culture is a whole lot different. Iraq, at the time when we lived there, I'm actually Lebanese. With the way my father traveled around for his work a lot. He was in Iraq but when I was born.
Yeah.
So we lived there for about 5 years. So it was only till I was about 5. But the things that I remember is a lot different from here.
So how was school in Iraq for you?
Actually, we moved away from Iraq. I was 5 when we moved to Kuwait. My whole family picked up and we moved to Kuwait, and that's where I went to school. And we lived in Kuwait from the time that I was 5 until I was 9.5 is when we came here.
Oh, so how was it different from like here though, in Kuwait?
The schools?
Yeah.
Well, I went to, again, Kuwait was a Muslim, dominantly a Muslim country. So we went to a Catholic school. I didn't know any different back then, but I do remember that it was extremely strict because it was run by nuns. The thing is, the big, huge difference about their schools, and I believe that that's in all the countries, all the Middle Eastern countries, is when you start kindergarten, first of all, you start at an earlier age. I think we start here at the age of maybe 5, I think. And there you start much younger, and right away you're learning 3 languages. You're learning your own language, and then you're learning, which is Arabic, and then you're learning English and French.
So how many languages do you speak fluently?
Fluently, 2.
2?
English and Arabic. No, my father had his brothers who came here years ago, back in 1920s. And that's a really long story as to why my father and my aunt didn't end up coming. But so he had a brother in North Carolina and a brother in here, Dedham, Mass. Back then, we came in 1970, and back in 1970, the only way that you could come to this country is to be sponsored through another person. And it was my uncle that sponsored our whole family.
Oh, so your whole family came over here with you?
Right, my immediate family.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you still have family back in Iraq?
Yes.
You do? Do you go back to visit at all? Or?
I haven't gone back, not once since I've been here. My mom and my brother has gone back. I think the last time that they were there was in 1993. But I personally have not gone back.
Would you like to go back
I
to
would
visit?
love to go back. I would love to take my kids. My kids would love to go back. My kids are 22, 20, and 17, well, not so much my son, but my daughters would love to go back and see it.
Definitely. Would you ever move back there permanently?
No.
No. Why not?
I love this country. This is my home. I've been here for over 40 years. I was too young to understand the government and what it was all about. But being here in this country, I like the way this is run, and I know that there's a lot of not good things going on.
What about the weather here compared to in Iraq? How is that different?
Iraq is very hot. I do remember we used to sleep, especially in the summertime, we would go up into the roof of the house, and we would sleep on the roof because it was so hot. And my father would lay out, all our beds had like canopies where we had the netting goes over so that, you didn't have all the bugs. It was really difficult at first. When we first got here, although I spoke English, I didn't speak the language per se. So people used to make fun of the way I pronounced things a lot. But it really didn't take long. When I first started school, we came in June, and so I had all summer long. And then came September, and I started school, and I caught right up. And I don't believe I have an accent.
Yeah, you don't. What grade did you move here? What grade were you in?
Well, I started in the 5th grade. Yeah, but when I left Kuwait, I had already finished the 5th grade, but because of just to be able to catch up with the language and the school ages were different. So I had to repeat the 5th grade here.
How and why did you come to America?
We came on a plane. It took us 2 days. First we went to New York, what's the...
JFK?
JFK, thank you. We went to the JFK, and that's where they took care of all the visas and everything. They checked all our papers, and then we took a flight from the JFK to Boston, and that's where my uncle and my cousins had met us. And the reason why we came is, it's a long story, but I had my older brother who had mental and physical disabilities. When we were in Kuwait, my parents would take him to the doctors, and they thought that he might have problems with his heart. So my parents wanted the best for my brother, and so that was one of the things I remember my parents when I was younger telling me that, well, they have the best doctors in America, and it's in Boston. And so they were actually told to go to a children's hospital in Boston. So, and my father, knowing that his brothers lived here, that's when he asked them to sponsor us to be able to come here.
How did people treat you when you first moved here? Did they treat you normally, or were you...
The friends that I made on my street, we moved into Roslindale when I first came here, and the friends that I met were really nice. And they were very curious as to where we came from, and every time they heard my parents speak a different language, they wanted to know what was being said. They wanted to know what we were eating. But then there were other people, just like nowadays, those that don't understand the difference in other people, they kind of bully you. So I did get bullied a little bit of, the way that I spoke.
How do you like the food here compared to the food in Iraq and
I
Kuwait?
still eat Mideastern food.
You do?
I do.
Better than American?
I love Middle Eastern food. I was always a picky eater anyway. So when, of course the hamburgers and the hot dogs and the french fries and all that was all kind of new to me, and I was obsessed with it. But as I get older, and I think when I'm thinking about being more healthy, I have since gone back to the Middle Eastern diet, which is delicious.
Is it healthier than the American diet?
I believe so.
Yeah,
I
a lot more
believe
fruits
so.
and vegetables and stuff.
A lot more, and
Yeah.
a lot more raw fruits and vegetables. But it's also the way that they ate is different than the way that we eat here in America. The big meal was always lunch, and it's always like a later lunch. It's not 12 o'clock lunch. It's probably like around 1 or 2, and that's when you had the big meal. When you did sit down to eat your big meal, it wasn't just like 20 minutes and you're done. It was an hour. You would sit there for an hour and you would talk and you would go over things that had happened.
Yeah, that's nice.
More than just quick bite and go.
Yeah, more than everyone sitting around the table.
Yeah.
Texting or whatever.
Oh, yeah. There was no TV.
No TV.
No. I remember when my parents told us as a family that we are going to be moving to America, and I remember going to school the next day and telling all my friends that I'm going to America, and a lot of people never even heard of America. But in my mind, America, like Boston, was America.
Yeah.
And because that's all I have ever heard about, Boston. And I remember thinking that, oh wow, America, that's where all the blonde hair and blue-eyed boys are. That's all I could think of. And because over there in Iraq and Kuwait, any Middle Eastern country that you are in, is a lot of dark-haired people, dark-haired. And so, the only time I would ever see a blonde hair, blue eye would be on TV. So, and I knew that it was a lot different from where I lived, but I wasn't really sure. I thought that it was going to be rich. I knew that it was going to be rich, that it was going to be a lot more green and snow, which I had never seen snow before, so I was really looking forward to seeing snow. I had heard about it, but I've never experienced it.